Final question. It's one we're asking everyone at the truck show. It causes all the controversy in the world. What's a road train?
Oh, okay. Well, it depends on...
So I'm here with Chief Executive Officer of the National Heavy Vehicle Regulator, Sal Petroccitto. How's it going, Sal? How are you enjoying the truck show?
I'm loving it. This is an amazing show. It's the biggest I've seen in the time that I've been in this role.
Lots of numbers coming through.
Yeah, look, I'm hearing Todd was saying this morning that they were up 25% on day one numbers.
That's great.
About nearly 10,000 people came through the door yesterday. So I think they're going to hit their target of 40,000 people.
It's great to hear.
Yeah, it is.
Just to speak about what the NHVR's got coming, any pipeline projects you can let us know about?
Yeah, look, our focus still is on that transition program. So with the transition of New South Wales last year in August, and that's gone really well, we're now working on the Queensland transition, and we're hoping that the first quarter of next year we'll see the Queensland transition come through. That'll then establish the regulator with all the regulatory functions under our control, which will be good. And I think industry hopefully should then start to see some of that consistency drive that we've been really wanting to achieve and some of that harmonisation. There's still a lot also happening in the technology space, doing a lot of work around a national spatial map, really starting to get our portal to be that business hub for industry, but also a lot of work happening around how we utilise technology in our enforcement and compliance activities. So a lot in that space, still really driving that customer focus for the organisation, ensuring that when we interact with the industry, it's done with respect, we treat them as humans and all of that. And I think it's going well, but yeah, still a big program of work for us over the next 12 months.
So you consider it a success now with New South Wales?
Look, I think with New South Wales coming across, it's definitely broken that critical, momentum issue. While we had Victoria, South Australia, ACT and Tassie, we were getting there, but with the transition of New South Wales, it's brought nearly an additional 300 people on board. It gives us that momentum with the last Giro now being Queensland, and we're really starting to see that sort of momentum coming through with the way we wanted to operate. I think the transition has been a success. We're probably hearing more positives than we are negatives. We still know we've got a lot of work to do, but I'm pleased to say that I think the officers have started to embrace the way the regulator wants to work, and it seems to be going well.
Speaking more directly under things that you have a bit more control under, access. Movement happening here, we're getting road managers understanding the goal. What can you say to that?
Yeah, look, I think the work the regulator's doing at the request of the ministers to develop a single national enforceable network map, I think will be a really beneficial outcome for industry. So the ability to go to one location, be in the portal, put in your destination, put in the type of combination and getting the route that you can go on, or at least advise you is working. The Commonwealth funding that we receive to do strategic local government assessment is also starting to really hit the ground. Those structural assessments are starting to now inform local government around the conditions of their asset. As we marry that together, I think it is getting better. We're having some fantastic interaction with Victoria. Victoria is really extending their higher productivity network. New South Wales is really keen to progress PBS 2.0 with us. So yeah, it's getting there. It's taken time, but I still think we're moving in the right direction. We're always going to have challenges. They're still the road managers, but I think it's improving.
You touched on PBS there. What's going on in that space, 2.0 project?
Yeah, so look, 2.0 for us, and for those of you out there that have used PBS, PBS has been in the marketplace now for about 17, 18 years. What I've challenged the organisation to do is, where do we take PBS? What's the next iteration of that performance-based standards? How do we actually start to use PBS to really look at innovative stuff? A lot of the combinations that I think we now see in PBS really are everyday vehicles. A-doubles are standard vehicles now. How do we move them out of PBS, make them restricted access vehicles, and how do we start to use PBS to really take it to the next level? So we issued a discussion paper end of last year, consultations closed, we're reviewing that. We'll start to come out with what we believe is a way forward with PBS and where it should go. To date, interaction and feedback's been positive. And as I indicated, New South Wales is really keen to look at how we might take it to the next level. I think if we can achieve that, we might start to really focus PBS where its intention was really on innovation. And how do we take those safer, newer product vehicles and get them onto the networks?
And of course, you've got a lot of work going on with National Heavy Vehicle Accreditation scheme.
Yeah.
mass, maintenance, fatigue.
Yep.
Are you seeing more operators take that on, starting to realise the benefits?
Yeah, look, really, really good question. Accreditation is also going to be part of the key remit under the new heavy vehicle national law. So there's I think a desire there as part of the law review to look at how accreditation becomes the way we, I suppose, lift the overall standard of the industry. We're still seeing growth in accreditation across all aspects of the three scheme areas. We're doing a fair bit of work at the moment on what we can do with AFM within the current confines of the law. Many out there would appreciate that some people think AFM is complex. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to demystify AFM, start to utilise templates a lot more. If we've seen something that works, how do we make that available to other operators? So I still see AFM, accreditation, the various mass management schemes as a viable option. But what we're also starting to see is across the board that industry is actually starting to lift its performance as well. So that to us is probably a win-win.
And I've noticed just in my own research, there's a big focus now on safety management systems, 9-step, I think it was.
Yeah, correct.
Can you touch on those and what the NHVR is doing there?
So mid last year, we released our 9-step safety management system. Any safety management system that can be implemented or deployed has benefit. Now, the key thing here is there's no point having a safety management system if it's going to sit on the shelf and not be used. So what we've tried to do is ensure that the way we develop that safety management system, it becomes relevant to the scalability and size of a company. So if you're a small operator, you might have elements of that 9-step scheme. If you're a multi-transport national company, well, we're going to expect to see a high level of safety management system. But for us, the key driver here is if you've developed one, use it. Don't develop it and leave it on the bookcase. Sure. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help you achieve any of the outcomes. And for us, that truly utilised safety management system does assist in some of the chain of responsibility outcomes. Now, the new HVNL, I think, will start to look at how safety management systems become more predominant in the industry. So we are working with the NTC to get clarity around that as well.
And this might put you on the spot a bit, but obviously WA enforces a bit more safety management through their accreditation program. Yeah. We see with the NHVR, it's a bit more of a, we're going to trust you. Are you happy with that arrangement?
Look, I think there's some more work we can probably do in the way we audit in the scheme. I think through the work that'll come out of the HVNL, it'll give us the opportunity to continue the work we've started in NHVAS and really start to look at what are the key aspects of that scheme that might need a bit of touch-up, a bit of refinement. I still firmly believe that we do need to have some of this approach where that co-regulatory model does work. You know, we need to envisage that this industry is keen to actually do the right thing. But where they're not, the regulator needs to do its job. I think with all of it, across the schemes, we need to do more. I think the way we audit probably needs to have a bit more of a review. We have had discussions with WA how we might start to look at mutual recognition. You know, it's just, I think in my view, a little bit unfortunate that you're in one scheme and you might not have the ability to transition into another scheme. So those discussions will continue with WA. I still think accreditation has value, but I think focusing on what's important to ensure that those safety outcomes, really as a regulator that wants to continue to be progressive and modern, we need to keep refreshing. So we should do that.
And we did talk about fatigue accreditation.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a lot going on there, the old written work diaries, the new electronic.
Yep.
There's concern out there, whether it's telematics for road location, geopositioning, or even OBM. There's concern that you guys you're trying to get this electronic to spy on road users. Is that what's going on? No,
can I dispel that rumour and myth straight away? We actually don't see any of that data. So if you buy an EWD system, that data sits with you and your provider. What I see, what my officers see, is what gets handed over in an intercept. So when it gets put into compliance mode, we see 28 days. We don't get any of the back-end data. That's your data, that sits with you. What I would encourage industry to do is seriously consider why you wouldn't move to an electronic work diary when we know that under the current scheme, a small error in your time recording, spelling something wrong, could end up in some pretty serious administrative breaches. So why cop a $600 blister when for some of the schemes that we know are out there for about $20 a month, you've got an electronic recording system? Now, look, my view is that they're an electronic recording system. I think in the areas of fatigue, I think more work needs to be done with some of the the CNI or Guardian technology, which really monitors fatigue. But if I was a driver at the moment, I wouldn't be buying a book. I'd be buying an electronic system that keeps me compliant, and I don't see the data.
That's good to hear. Final question. It's one we're asking everyone at the truck show. It causes all the controversy in the world. What's a road train?
Oh, okay. Well, it depends on how many trailers we want to put behind it. So, for me, the traditional road train, if it's the three trailers that are hitched up by the standard hitches, but then if we look at a modern combination, I think what you're raising is a very important point for us, is that there's still a lot of confusion around the vehicle classes, and I think that confusion starts to then play into the minds of road managers, be it local government, be in the broader community. One of the things that I would like to see, and I know there is some work happening under the HVNL review, is looking at the vehicle classification system. I think our current vehicle classification system is probably complex, and if we struggle, and when I mean if we as a regulatory authority sometimes struggle with its interpretation, how does the general community or general industry deal with it? So for me, I think some simplification around what our vehicle classes are, and at the end of the day, what's the right vehicle for the right task, which is why the work we're doing in the portal and the spatial mapping work, I think, will start to help that.
Great, Sal. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of the show. Thanks, guys. Thank you.